On November 18, the Ombudsman finally filed the first cases in the flood control corruption issue, graft and malversation charges against ex-congressman Zaldy Co and others. But if we consider the larger scandal, that what we actually have now is a contractors' Congress, then we can say that the first cases were in fact filed earlier by a private lawyer. On October 2, attorney Marvin Aceron filed a complaint with the Senate Ethics Committee against Senator Chiz Escudero. And on November 14, attorney Aceron filed multiple charges with the Ombudsman against Escudero in the senator's capacity as former governor of Sorsogon province. What happens now? Hi, I'm John Nery and you are in the public square. We are joined in the studio today by the man who dared to go first, attorney Eldridge Marvin Aceron. Full disclosure, attorney Aceron is also my publisher. As the executive publisher of San Anselmo Publications, he published my second book, Radical, in 2023. He has built a successful career as a lawyer specializing in corporate and construction law. Welcome, attorney Marvin, and thank you for joining us in the public square.
Hi, thank you, John. Thank you for inviting me here.
Attorney Marvin, let me start. Why did you file these cases? What moved you?
Well, the first thing is that I was aghast by the gravity of these cases, this scandal. You know, it went all the way to the Senate President, Speaker of the House. So I joined the September 21 rally, and I shared the sentiments of many people in that rally. And then the thing is, I've been very frustrated with how government has dealt with this problem. Your hearings in the Senate have been disrupted. You have the change of leadership. And the ICI hearings, you don't know what's going on. So I said maybe I should take matters into my own hands, especially on things that I understand and I can do easily. That's why I said, you know, this thing about the donation, that's easy to check. So I checked the admissions. I then took a look at the financial statements of Senator Ways. Oh, there, I found it. There's 35 million pesos missing from the books of Senator Ways. And then that 35 million, therefore, that 30 million came from that company. So the defense of personal money, it's not true. That company is 99.33% owned by Lubiano. And they just treat the financial statements candidly. You know, they took away 35 million. That's also broken down. You have donor's tax, you have dividend tax, and you have doc stamps. That's it. That's about 35 million pesos. Huli sa doon. And unfortunately, you know, all this rage is still there because nothing has happened to my case. I don't have a case number. I don't even know if Escudero has received a copy of my complaint. So I said, you know, it's better to file a complaint with the barangay because the barangay will give you a case number immediately. And then Senator JB said, you know, we're going to do FIFO, first in, first out. You know, that's something you do with systems in the kitchen, you know. First vegetables in, first vegetables out. But you can't do that in systems of justice. So I said I better do something else. I took a look at the COA report of 2021 for Sorsogon, and I found more. I found greater, I mean, humongous scandals and scams. So I said I better just study this and prepare a complaint and file it, which I did.
Okay, so thanks for giving us an overview. No, yes. We'll have time later to go dig into the details. But I want to step back a bit and let's talk legal standing. Do you need to have a certain relationship to the defendant or the object of the complaint to file, first of all, in the Senate Ethics Committee?
You have to be a Filipino, you have to be a taxpayer, you have to be a voter.
That's
and
it.
I qualify for that.
That's it.
Yes.
And that has been established?
That's established.
So also the same thing when you filed the cases with the Ombudsman?
Yes, same thing.
Same.
That's all we need.
Now, I do remember when you filed the ethics complaint, so I'm not sure if he's gotten a copy, but Senator Escudero definitely heard about it, and he said, this is just part of their harassment, and called you a minion of Martin Romualdez. Your reply?
Well, I already said, that's a Facebook post. I have tons of evidence against him. I cannot dignify that with a response. I don't know Martin Romualdez. I don't work for him. I've never met him, and I don't associate with corrupt people. So that's definitely something you cannot expect from a lawyer and a senator. So I'm waiting for his proper answer. I'm waiting for an answer from a Senate president. It hasn't come. It's not there.
So, in fact, you've never even met Chiz Escudero also.
I haven't even met him. Not in the same room together. I don't vote for him, so I don't know him personally.
And the accusation that you're a minion of Martin, nobody would say that if they just took a look at, for instance, the Facebook page of San Anselmo.
No, I don't associate with corrupt politicians. And especially, I have very, very few politician friends. And definitely not connected to Sorsogon, definitely not connected to the speaker, former speaker, or to any one of these participants here of this big scam.
Why Chiz in particular? Is it possible? Did you consider other potential targets, so to speak?
Chiz, because it's the easiest case to file.
Okay.
He made admissions already. He admitted he took the money from Lubiano. Lubiano admitted that he gave the money, and then I took a look at Centerways. Everything's there in the SEC. I took a look at the DPWH website. Okay. Everything's there. We just put two and two together. We just have to tie it up. And the biggest and the strongest case is an ethics case. With respect to the others, you have all these statements, but that will take time. I don't even know them. I don't even know if they're credible.
Yeah.
So, can't do that.
Yung kay Lubiano, is that an actual defense that it came from my personal funds? My understanding is that the election code, the Omnibus Election Code, prohibits receiving donations from contractors.
That's a technical offense. If you talk to a corporate lawyer, and will say, you cannot pierce the corporate veil.
Okay.
Because Lubiano, even if he is 99.30% owner of the corporation, he is not the corporation. Okay. Well, that's a given. But the point is, but let's look at the corporation. How did he treat that corporation? Okay. So I took a look at the corporation. They mistreated the corporation. Why? They did not properly put the books in order. The financial statements have a big 35 million peso gaping hole. And these are the same financial statements they submit to the DPWH to get their awards. Therefore, it's obvious this corporation is not really a corporation. It's a conduit of Lubiano. That's my argument. I think that's a very strong argument.
Yeah, so it's clear that there was a 30 million peso donation. Yes. Lubiano admitted that, said it was personal funds. Chiz Escudero admitted that, yes. Right? So that's clear. And then you also took a look at the corporate history of Centerways, which is owned 99% by Lubiano, and you figured out that it had already received 720 million pesos worth of contracts. Yes. In the 1st and 2nd congressional districts of Sorsogon in 2021, yes. Before the 30 million peso donation was given to Escudero's re-election campaign in 2022. But after, right? So 2022, 2023, 2024, and a part of 2025, 15.9 billion pesos yes. in contracts yes. won by Centerways yes. from the same 2 congressional districts.
Yes, that's all in the DPWH website. I did not invent that. There are actual contracts, descriptions of those projects, descriptions of the winners, and the amounts are all there.
Okay, so it does seem like the 30 million was a good investment.
Oh, it's a quid pro quo, definitely. Okay. And the politicians. This is not their invention. But, again, let's go back to the law. That's prohibited. That's indirect bribery. However, they have all these palusot, but we don't know. But the thing is, that's illegal. We have to file cases against them. This is enough.
Yung conflict of interest, is there a specific provision prohibiting that? Or do you simply disclose it? Or just the mere fact that there might be a conflict?
Well, the anchor law is the COMELEC law. Okay, right. The one that prohibits a person with government contracts from donating to a candidate. That's the anchor law. All right. But however, the COMELEC is doing its job. It's just filed its case. And and I found out another group of lawyers have filed a case against that in the COMELEC. My case, I think it goes to the ethics committee. You have that anchor law, and you have other things. You have the quid pro quo rule. I'm saying, look at this fellow senators of Escudero. This guy gave 30 million to this person, and then made sure that he gets a 16 billion payout at the end of the term. Oh, that's not. Is that something that senators should be doing? I'm asking that to the Senate. That's really that ethics case is there for them to ask themselves. Is this something that you guys are going to allow?
It is very possible that the answer might be, what's wrong with that? They might be thinking, oh, they're on to us.
I hope that that's not their opinion. But I always say, that's if in your term you're all like that, you look back at the giants of the Senate, Sagisag, Jokno, Salonga. These guys, they will never do this, right? And so you don't compare yourself with the worst batch. You compare yourself with the best senators we had, the ones that we remember to this day. As I said, we all stand in the shoulders of the giants. Lahat tayo nakatayo sa balikat ng mga higanteng ito. Dapat ganun tayo tumingin sa ating mga dapat gawin. Hindi naman nagbabagong rules eh. Hindi naman nagbabagong etika eh. They should always look up to the higher standard, not to the lowest common denominator.
One of the things that I really appreciated from your complaint, reading your complaint, was that you didn't approach it as, for instance, as an election lawyer would. An election lawyer would, as you say, just hammer down on the anchor law, no, yung violation of the provision in the Omnibus Election Code. What you did was that you traced the money. So you said, and you did say this earlier, but so maybe we can dig into the details here, that 35 million pesos vanished from Centerway. So my understanding is that in their SEC filing for 2022, there was an item for 35 million pesos.
Yes.
But that item disappeared, vanished in their filings for 2023 and 2024.
Well, it goes like this.
Okay.
You find that 35 million in the retained earnings of the corporation.
Okay.
Now, in 2020, that's 2021. In 2022, they restated the 2021 retained earnings.
Okay.
When you say restated, they're supposed to repeat it.
Okay.
But they did not repeat it.
Okay.
In the 2021 retained earnings disclosed in 2022, 35 million pesos vanished. In other words, they said, they did not say, but matter of fact, 2021's figures were altered.
Okay.
2023, the same thing was done. They restated the 2021 retained earnings. The thing is, they did not explain why the 35 million pesos vanished. If a decent financial statement would say, oh, the 35 million has been miscalculated, or 35 million was declared as dividends. They did not do that. It just vanished.
Again, this is from your experience as
Yes.
Specialist in corporate law.
I'm a corporate lawyer. I look at financial statements every day. I often brag to my friends. I could smell if your FS is a bogus from afar, because that's how I've been 25, 30 years as a corporate lawyer. And so it's easy to check. It's easy to look at all those notes. And
I want to go a step back and talk about the 35 million. So,
Yes.
Isip ko, my first instinct was, so 30 million for Chiz and then maybe 5 million another donation for a candidate? But
No,
you said that,
probably.
in fact...
if you look at that, there's 15% dividend tax. They must have dividended out.
Okay.
And you get 15% dividend tax. That's the final tax. And then you get donors tax of 6%. And then you get dog stamps. Oh, that's about 5 billion.
Okay, so it works out.
Pasok siya, 35 million yun. Definitely. And then the thing is, they did not treat it properly. They did not put it in their books that money was dividend out. Why? That's these people from these accountants, they do this every day, and then they know how to do it. The proper way to disclose it, but they did not disclose it. And the thing is, you are dealing with a company with 16 billion pesos in contracts. Where do you get your accountants? I have clients who don't even have 10 billion in their accounts. They get SGV, they get the big ones. Where did they get this accountant? You don't even know their background,
Sounds like the basis for another case.
Yes.
To be filed.
How can a company like this be mishandled? Normally, big corporations, they have at least 2 big auditors with them, named auditors, or at least veteran auditors. Here, we don't even know these guys.
As I said, I was so struck when I was reading the complaint because it makes a very compelling argument, no? And again, it's based not only on one ground, the anchor law of the election code, but on other grounds, no? Including this, the vanishing of the 35 million, and so on and so forth. Best case scenario, what can the Senate do with this case? Best case.
Best case scenario is convict, which I don't think is happening in the next 3 years with the term. Why?
Okay.
Because it's 2026 next year. I'll probably get my hearing, second quarter, third quarter. And then I don't even have a case number. So, and hopefully...
almost 2 months since you filed it.
2 months, yeah. Nothing has happened. But we will be at it. I asked for help now from people. So about 347 people signed up. I said, please, every time I sign, just help me talk to the Senate. I'm not trying to pressure, but just do your job, guys. So that's my best case scenario, but nothing will happen in the 3 years. Probably, if the political climate is the same, the next 3 years after this term, people will look at it and take a look at, this is the first time that somebody has been actually seriously charged by the people of the Philippines on what they have done as a senator and what they have the things that they've done to be elected as senator. So hopefully this will happen.
But of course we know that the Senate is not a court, no? Even as convened as an impeachment court, not strictly a court, right? So it is very political. And J.B. Ejercito, who is now part of the majority, has said that for a time he wasn't sure, no, when all these charges came out, whether he would remain with the majority. But I think for now, I think that the possibility that Senate President Tito Soto would be ousted and so on, that seems to be on the that doesn't seem to be happening now, right? Given the political dynamics, what is the worst that can happen? What's the worst case scenario, naman?
They dismiss this case.
Outright dismissal.
All right. I heard Senator Ping Lacson saying, these are acts done before he was senator. So he said, in my own Coratong Balaling case, that was my defense and it was dismissed. But my argument to Senator Ping Lacson's point is that, the donation was before he became senator. But it's related to it.
That's
because he got elected.
That's right.
And the second, the quid pro quo, the amounts that were given to Lubiano, or awarded to Lubiano, happened during the time of Senator Escudero already in the Senate. So it's not necessarily similar to the Coratong Baliling case. And then the other point is that if it gets dismissed, well, we can ask the Ombudsman to take a look if there's really a good case for indirect bribery. So worst case scenario, they dismiss it, but we will continue to do it. And if it fails there, we'll file it somewhere else where it will be stronger.
One of the things that struck me, that stood out in the complaint, was the mention of a citizens forum.
Yes.
What did you have in mind?
Well, I had wanted really to have people do this work with me. Not just me leading it, but because we have very competent former or even resident COA auditors. We have very competent lawyers also who do these things regularly. Hopefully, I will have assistance in doing this. I'll organize something like that. I'd wanted to do that with the COA filing in November 14. Unfortunately, I heard, and it's confirmed, that the back chair of Sorsogon DPWH killed himself. So I said, my God, people are killing themselves in Sorsogon. I better act something, I better do something to make sure, at least before they die, they see the reality of being charged with the Ombudsman. So that's why I filed it immediately on the 14th.
Sorry, you're talking about the Bids and Awards Committee.
Bids and Awards Committee
of Sorsogon. Yeah.
I wanted to organize this, have a group discussion with other experts, but I don't have time. So let's just do it. Anyway, everything is in the COA, and we can have the discussion after.
Yeah. I wish more people can read the complaint. First of all, it's very well written. It's very easy to follow. But also, the case is there. Like I said, the argument is very compelling. You know
what I did? I just took a look at the COA report. studied it, analyzed it, broke it down to probably the top 8 things, the top 8 sins of Governor Escudero, and then turned that into a complaint based on the law. That's the same thing I did with the donation case. It's very simple. DPWH website, all the YouTube videos of admission, that's a complaint. So these are not hard things to do, and every citizen can do this if they have time, if they have the competence, if they have the integrity to do it. We can do it. And what chance do we have? Who will file against these people in the Senate? Who will have the time to do it? Of course, those who have the expertise and a bit of time, like me. So I did it.
So this is a possible next step for people who are still so outraged. They are flooding our direct messages and so on, not only in Rappler but in different news organizations, saying you should take a look at this, a ghost project and so on. So reporting that, right, gathering evidence for those corrupt projects, that would be one step. The next step would be maybe working with accountants, lawyers, and so on to put together an actual case. We don't need to wait for the government to file a case.
Yeah, because the problem with the government is
among other things.
Among other things, like for example, the Ombudsman. How many cases does the office of the Ombudsman handle on a daily basis? I see these guys. They work hard. They work very hard. And then everything is urgent.
Yeah.
The thing with everything, when everything is urgent, you forget about other things, other more important things.
Sure.
So, and who will help them? It's us, the citizens, because we got to make this democracy work. The only way for this democracy to work is for actual citizens to be involved. And the Ombudsman needs a lot of help with these cases. Once in a while I appear in the Ombudsman. I always say, my God, these cases are still here. This is Arroyo scams. We got to do the Pinoy scams. We got to do the scams in the time of Duterte. But we're not even there yet. Now we have these flood control scams. They're all buried in all these scams. So we got to help them. We got to do a little bit of our duty to ensure these systems of accountability will operate and will function for us.
A long time ago, when it was still Añano Desierto, I wrote a series of reports for my newspaper then, which we called Ombudscam. And it seemed that the modus operandi was, for these cases to be filed at the Ombudsman and then for them to gradually disappear. How do you feel about the new Ombudsman, former Justice Secretary Boyeng Remulla?
Well, Justice Remulla's record in the DOJ is great. I mean, I liked how he performed there. Cases were moving. And I think he has a mandate for 7 years in the Ombudsman. I don't think he will be beholden to anyone. When you have a term that's so strong, 7 years, and you've got competence, you can do this thing, he can do his job. I think he has integrity enough to make sure that things work. So let's see. And I will be there. I'll check him out every now and then. I don't know him personally, but I'll do these things every now and then.
Are you talking to other lawyers?
Yes. Since I filed this case, many people have approached me, lawyers in particular, lawyers of my age.
Sure.
Lawyers of my age who are approaching the age of seniority, and all of a sudden they are attacked by their conscience, and they want to do something for the country. Great, people who always need some conversion, and this is how we do it. Let's do it.
That's great, to know about lawyers in legacy mode, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You need to leave something behind.
Let me just add to that. It's the weird thing about life. You find out what are the good things to do when you're already old, when you don't have enough time anymore.
Who was it who said that youth is wasted on the young, right?
Yes, true. But we can still do it.
I want to go back to the second case, or actually set of cases that you filed with the Ombudsman.
Yes.
These are graft, malversation, falsification of documents, and then gross neglect of duty, right? So a combination of criminal and administrative cases against then Governor Chiz Escudero and some provincial officials.
Yes.
Right? First of all, I see that it's a total of 350 million pesos in financial irregularities and potential malversation. A layman might, speaking as layman, I might ask, why didn't you file a plunder case? It more than meets the threshold. Is it because it's harder, or it doesn't meet all the elements of
You got to prove taking. I don't have proof of taking. The Ombudsman will have to develop that. Well, for example, in one of these cases, in one of those charges, the COA said, there's 1.5 billion assets in Sorsogon, but we can't find it. It cannot be reconciled. There's the reason why...
What does it mean, 1.5 billion assets as recorded?
As recorded, but there's no backing.
All right.
So the Ombudsman, the COA said, you got to reconcile these figures because the sub-ledgers of those assets do not reconcile with the depreciation side. So which means the backing of that assets are not there. So, okay, but can we already say that's ghost projects? Can we already say that that's missing, that they were stolen?
Okay.
We can't. That most importantly, we cannot say that Escudero took them, in all fairness to him. But the point is, in the 2022 COA report, the COA said, you guys from the province of Sorsogon, you did not do your part to reconcile this unliquidated assets, unfound assets. What were the common excuses of those people? You don't have enough people, you don't have enough time. But they had an entire year to fix their books. They did not do it. So the 2022 opinion of the COA, like the 2021 opinion, is qualified because of that missing assets. And then you have the 2023 financial statements of Sorsogon. Still, the COA is complaining. Nobody is working on this reconciliation. Not a single person has done his job about this. And so they get another qualified report for 2023.
How is it possible for a government, in this case the provincial government, to continue without responding to COA? Toothless tiger ba ang COA?
I know, well, the COA has its systems. I understand if you go by the bureaucracy, the COA will not act until there's a notice of disallowance that has been made final and executory. And to get a notice of disallowance that is filed and executory, it takes about one trip to the Supreme Court. So that's not going to happen.
Okay.
If we follow by the common COA systems. And I can't blame them. Those are systems they developed. But for actions, we got to take a look at them and see how we could escalate it, how we could make it faster. And here, I don't think we need to wait for a COA disallowance. I already said it. For example, going back to the primary case there, 125 million pesos worth of projects did by only 2 contractors. 40 projects. And then these contractors only have, one contractor has 1 engineer working on 3 projects all at the same time in different places in Sorsogon.
So this is where you said, well, not you,
yes,
but quoting the COA, that the physical impossibility
of
these contracts.
Physical impossibility. You have 1 set of equipment working on 3 places all at the same time, 40 times in 1 year.
Baka naman napaka-efficient lang talaga.
It's impossible. Let's take a look at the roads in Sorsogon. How do they look like? Again,
I'm sure your experience in construction law helped you here. I mean, it must have jumped out at you.
Of course, my real expertise is in construction arbitration.
Okay.
I probably handled the biggest construction arbitration case in Philippine history when I was a young lawyer.
Okay.
So I'm saying, I know how it works. In private contracts, hindi pwede hanky-panky. You're bound by time. If you don't do this immediately, you have liquidated damages. If you don't finish the job properly, you have damage. You will be charged. It will be deducted from you. There's a retention money. If you follow how the private contractors do it, this would have been the perfect scheme. This would have been, it's impossible to have 1 engineer working on 3 projects. In fact, normally the standard contract for a private construction project is you should have a steady project manager and steady project engineer in the project all throughout. And if you don't have one, you will be penalized for that. There will be some pecuniary penalty for that. But you don't have that here. So, and then I'm comparing when the private companies do it, and you look at the public companies, at these corporations doing these public projects, you understand, you question, why is there a big gap? If a private legitimate contractor will be doing this, You won't catch them, one engineer doing 3 projects at the same time in 3 different locations. You won't catch ghost projects.
It's simply
Umpisa
impossible.
pa lang, pagpasok ng down payment, titingnan agad dyan ng project manager. Tapos pa yung project, nag-mobilize pa. No, kita agad dyan. It's not gonna happen like this. And that's a sad fact.
How exactly is then Governor Escudero liable for this?
He's the top gun in the province of...
No, but does he approve that? Or?
He signs everything. He signs off on the notice of award. He signs off on the payment. That everything's approved by him. So he's liable for that. He should be knowing. And, and you're not looking at peanuts money.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
If you're looking at 1,000, 2,000 pesos, I don't expect the governor to be aware of that. But you're talking about
Hundreds of millions.
225 million pesos. That's a lot of money. And that should be in his daily task list. That should be in his monitoring list. What's happening to this project? What's happening to that project? Are the contractors doing the job? You know, you can't just take selfies and drink wine all the time. You got to work every day, right? And we're expecting him to be like that. You know, that's how he projects himself, a worker. But let's see, look at what happened to Sorsogon in 2021. I'm not even looking at 2022.
So what's the difference between these infrastructure projects involving the Sorsogon governor with the flood control projects that, for instance, in Quezon City, Mayor Joy Belmonte said, "Oh, I didn't even know about that." No, it turns out it was the congressman in this district and so on. Are we talking of qualitatively different projects?
Well, the projects were initiated by the provincial government here. The ones
see.
covered by the 2021 COA audit
I
report.
see. Okay.
The ones in the DPWH flood control scams in Quezon City were initiated by the DPWH and by the congressman.
Okay.
That's a sad fact, you know. The governor and at least the mayor should be aware of these projects.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a case in Bohol. I realized when the DPWH does its project, they do not get a mayor's permit. They do not get a construction permit. They just do it. That's what happened in Bohol in one of my cases.
Let me ask. They don't need to get the mayor's
They
permit?
have to get a permit.
So they just say,
They
well,
just, we don't
we're
care.
the national
Yes,
government.
we're the national government. We don't care. I have an actual case like that when they did not even ask permission from the mayor. You know what the mayor did? He just demolished the project itself for being illegal. And now that's the case.
You said that, first of all, you studied the COA reports involving Chiz Escudero as a result of that first case, no? Yung ethics,
my frustration in the ethics case.
and then you saw, wow, all these
There's
things.
more, yeah.
Yeah, and then so you said, what was it, the top 8 most glaring things.
Top 8.
You talked about one already, yung systematic procurement fraud, which involves yung physical impossibility, no?
Yes.
Can we talk about another thing, no? Not as huge an amount, but I think this is something that will resonate with many people now, yung misappropriation of disaster response, disaster relief funds.
You know, there was a typhoon in Sorsogon in 2021. There was about 20 million downloaded for them. 10 million downloaded to them to give away. Well, it turned out the treasurer did not disclose to the people that the money was there.
Okay.
So it wasn't disbursed.
So nandun lang.
Andun lang. 6 years after, it's still there. So that's a scam. That's misappropriation. What happened to the money?
So not spending,
Not spent.
specifically purposed funds is also misappropriation.
That's misappropriation. The thing is, you know how it is, the reality. Cash flow. You know, the 10 million was there, but they needed to fund other things. So they must have. I'm not saying it actually happened. The way these blue-collar crimes happen is that since they needed money for something else, they had to use that money for something else. And now they were just hoping, you know, more money will be coming in anyway. They will just tag that for that project. But it never came. So definitely there's misappropriation. So we're trying to malversation. We're trying to ask the Ombudsman, take a look at this, subpoena this. What happened to that money? I'm pretty sure it's still there. No, it's no longer there. It was spent for something else. But in the books, it's still there. That's my guess.
Okay.
So let's see what the Ombudsman does.
All right. What is your best case scenario here? The
Ombudsman, definitely.
No, the Ombudsman will take it.
The Ombudsman will take it. The Ombudsman will subpoena, and the Ombudsman will file the cases, and And the Sandigan Bahay will convict. This is a very strong case.
Is there room for private lawyers in a case like this?
I'm not aware of it. But
if there is room, would you be
in the Arab case? I think some private lawyers were allowed. To,
in the impeachment cases, yeah.
No, even in the Ombudsman case, which resulted in conviction.
I see.
Some private lawyers were able to assist them. I don't know if that they will allow it with me, but I've already made a promise to my friends. Oh, I'll handle this. You guys, you file the other charges.
Yeah.
This is the easiest
or
part.
This is what
I'll take care of this.
That network of lawyers.
Yes.
Can do also, right?
Yes. Help us out, the people of Sorsogon, whom I've never met, have asked me, have sent me messages. What can we do to help you? I said, okay, I will go back to you. I'm just busy with other things. But I would ask them to help us out. I identified these 2 contractors that were not identified by the COA. What happened to these projects? Those are all identified in the DPWH anyway. So what are you sure? I heard that somebody told me, but it has to be verified, that the diversion road from Irosin to Matnog is listed as completed and paid. But what's been completed only is the first part and the last part.
Yeah.
So what's in the middle?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that. Maybe the Ombudsman can take a look at it. And then the people of Sorsogon are telling us, take a look at that diversion road.
Yeah.
See what happened in the middle if it's really there.
Maybe there's room here for a group of Sorsoganons to come together.
Hopefully.
Help out.
No, but the reality is, there's a political dynasty in Sorsogon. And in the political...
As in many other places.
As in the entire country. And the reality in the political dynasty, it works like a kingdom. And to survive in a kingdom like that, you have to be polite at the very least to the powers that be. And that's why we have a democracy. Democracy allows people from freer places like me to get their noses into these things, and tell them, look, guys, something's wrong here. That's why you have a national government to impose these laws on these local feudal economies, and so to make them follow the law. That's how it is. So we have to make it work. We have to make it work.
What's the worst case scenario for the Sorsogon cases?
They will be dismissed.
But if that happens...
there's 2022. And then we can take a look at there's 2022 COA report, which I did not include, which also includes a lot of more scams. And 2023, and then there's 2024 and 2020. Every year, these guys, when they get elected, they never get elected on a platform of reform, which means they will protect the status quo. And the status quo is graft and corruption. So every year you will have a COA report. Every year they will have violations. Every year we can file cases until we get it right. Every year.
I wonder, this is almost off tangent, but also related. I wonder how can we strengthen COA's role? Is it possible that unless you answer a qualified opinion, additional funds will, or next year's funds won't be released or something like that? I mean,
that's the problem. The COA talks only to the Ombudsman and to itself by posting its findings on the website.
Okay.
Nothing happens unless in the COA report unless somebody brings the report to the attention of the Ombudsman. The citizens can do this. Let's take a look at the website. Let's take a look at all the COA reports. I know for a fact that a qualified opinion is more the rule than the exception among local governments. What does that mean? Everybody is into something in government, in the local government. Look, guys, look at your mayor, look at your governor. Let's take a look at their COA report. Let's take a look at their findings. You can file the cases. Let's file the cases. We have to make them accountable, so that when they get elected, at least they will see, okay, I can't do this anymore because the COA is very strict and people will file the cases against me. So, of course, we expect them to get better at corruption, but we will try to get better also in chasing them and filing cases against them. That's how it is. This is a democracy. We will file the cases. They do the scams, we will file the cases. And it will work that way, hopefully.
If maybe I can ask one more question. If you're invited to speak at the November 30 trillion peso march at the People Power Monument. What would you emphasize?
Well, the biggest thing is us citizens, we are at fault. What happened to the Napoles cases? We were also enraged. We went to the Luneta rally after the Napoles cases were disclosed. We thought that Enrile will be convicted. We thought that Revilla will be convicted. We thought that Jingo Ernesto will be convicted. But they got acquitted. And then, it's okay. So what happened? Because they got acquitted, they became bolder. They did this scam here. So we have to be vigilant. We have to be always on our toes. The problem with us is that we're always busy with other things. We're busy with important things, but we forget about the other things that we have to be busy about, which is democracy, which is making sure our systems of accountability are working. We have to make sure that the COA is doing its job, and then the governor is doing his job. Let's file the cases. The thing is, the private institutions, private individuals like me, we just do our thing on a daily basis. We're just scrolling by all the scams. But the question is, what are we going to do about it? Now, we find out if we stop being assertive, if we stop being vigilant, they get back into business. So we cannot stop because they don't stop. And unless we do something about it, we will be the laughing stock of the world. Right now we are. Right now people are laughing at us. You get Enrile acquitted after the damning testimony against him. You get Chingo Estrado re-elected. You get Revilla re-elected simply by dancing. What kind of people are we if we allow these things to happen? Oh, we can change. Let's change now. Let's be vigilant. After November 30, let's continue with our protest. But not just protest. We got to file the cases. We got to watch that the Ombudsman do its job. We got to expect ICI, tell them, please guys, you just have to live stream your proceedings so we know what's going on. So that's what we have to do. We cannot stop at rallying. We have to make our systems work. We just have to file the cases.
Your mention of Janet Napoles brings back so many memories. Of course, that was also a huge media story. And of course, Janet Napoles is in jail. There's no possibility of her being released because she's been convicted on more than one plunder case and so on. Unfortunately, the three senators have all been acquitted of plunder. It's only Jingo Estrada who now faces graft charges. And I think naabutan siya nung galit dito sa flood control, no? So medyo parang hindi maybe not it wasn't favorable to him. But so we need to ask ourselves, what can we learn from the Napoles case, no? So okay, the operator is in jail, but the members of the political class who made the money available, wala.
I have a legal term in my law office.
Okay.
Not really legal term, it's our basketball term.
Okay.
You know what the lawyers of Jinggoy, the lawyers of Bong Revilla, and the lawyers of Enrile did? They did the full court press.
Okay.
What does that mean, the full court press? They objected to everything.
Okay.
If you remember in the Estrada impeachment, this great lawyer, this old guy, I forget his name, he was objecting, Flaminiano, he was objecting to every question. That's a full court press.
Okay.
That's what they did to us in the Ombudsman case. They did the full court press. And, poor guys doing this work, litigation work for them, the full court press, they couldn't stop it. But now, we know how it's done, They're going to do the full court press against you. Let's do the full court press against them. Let's fight it. Every objection they do, let's fight, let's argue with it. Until they see that it's pointless, it's better to just plead guilty. You got to match their energy. How Eric Spolsters always say, you got to match their energy. Nobody's going to do this for you but yourself. Nobody's going to help you but yourself. We just got to match it. That's how the best lawyers are doing it. Full court press. Every matter they can object to, they object to. We can do that, on the prosecution side.
Unfortunately, sometimes in this game of corruption, the referees intervene. So in the case of Enrile, the Supreme Court allowed him bail on a ground that he didn't even raise. right? Humanitarian grounds. He didn't even raise that. Yeah. So parang...
I'm a lawyer. I cannot say anything bad about my Supreme Court. I just say we just follow them. Of course, the arguments are always there. My teacher once in law school said, every argument has a counter-argument. And that's the sad reality. The judge will have many things in his head when he's deciding things. And when he's deciding things, when this judge is deciding things, you just got to pray that he will have or she will have a moment of integrity and enlightenment. And they will judge according to what really is the law that will apply to the facts of the case. But for the lawyers, for the litigants, they're doing the full court press. Let's do that too. And the thing is, a full court press is from the start to the end. And that's how they did it. They filed every pleading. They filed every argument they could file. They studied everything they could use. They even developed new doctrines. That's how creative they are. And what did the prosecution do? They failed to match it. That's why they lost the case.
Speaking of full court press, it is possible for the Ombudsman to actually just receive your case and refile it sila na mismo, parang ganun.
Well, my expectation is the Ombudsman will trigger subpoenas and build more cases.
But you've already actually put the case together.
Yes.
Right?
They can.
I mean, that's part of the full court press. Parang ginawa mo na ito. Ito na, nandito na.
Yes, pwede yun. If they do that, great. But with all due respect to them, they're the authority here.
Yeah.
Right? So really, the Ombudsman will be the one who will approve this case and file it. And we will help them as far as how the law will allow us to help them. And it's not just me. There are other lawyers. There are at least 347 people with me who signed up for this cause. And we will do it. We will help the Ombudsman. We will help the Ombudsman develop its full court press against the best lawyers of the land doing their full court press.
Okay. One last thing. I can't help but note that there is, in fact, an important difference between the Napoles cases, the corruption, the corrupt projects, and the flood control projects. And that is, we can relate to this viscerally. Every time there's a storm, nakikita natin. I mean, like Sorsogon, for instance, everybody knows that's part of the typhoon belt. Why aren't they doing more?
True.
Right, di ba? So yung parang every time this happens, so parang yung, that's probably a source of hope or a source of action. No? Parang, hindi natin makakalimutan to.
Every day, every moment of our lives, there's a storm threatening us, there's an earthquake threatening us. And then, when that happens, when the storm happens, when the quake happens, that's when we find out if we have good leaders. And we don't expect, again, these people in power now, all of them, they did not get elected with a reform agenda. When they came into power, they were protecting the status quo, even restoring the former status quo.
Sure.
So that's the sad reality. When the reform agenda is gone, nobody's doing it, but that's what we need. And the only way this reform agenda will happen is if we elect people who will have reform in their heads. And, serious people, not just people who will say it. See, people who have actual track records in putting systems of reform. Because that's the only way we will change. Otherwise, tuwing babagyo, may babahain, wasak-wasak, palaging traffic, dahil sa baha, walang mangyayari sa bansa natin. Tutuhanin na natin ang reform. Let's elect the proper leaders. I sound like a politician, but I'm not going to be a politician. I promise. I don't really like. I don't want to change my life. No, but this is what we need. In a simple way, we should be electing good leaders. That's really the problem.
Attorney Marvin Aceron, who took that all-important first step in fighting back against a Congress of contractors and filed the first cases against Senator Chiz Escudero. This has been illuminating. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Salamat.
And that's it for us today. The next step for engaged citizens, as always, is to take a more active part in the democratic project. Please download the Rappler Communities app and join the chat room of your choice. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Rappler Plus. Thank you. This is John Nery. See you in the public square.